So here we are looking at this article again, and we've covered paratextuality so far. We covered who are the sources, and it's an expository kind of article and not analytical, argumentative. And in terms of the features of the text that we have covered, we've covered, as I said, paratextuality, and now we're going to talk about cohesion. There will be also left coherence and the Lexis. So now cohesion. With cohesion, the first thing is you look at syntax, which is the tense and the aspect, which tense it's being used here. Have resurrected, for example, sits. So they are using the present tense. Is still confident. But then also there are past, which is like a senior government source said. Diacritics like the word this, and what does it refer to? And it is actually included in the diacritics, the we. Who are we talking about when we look at the actual story where it says we? And then we have the noun phrases. And finally the co-references, which is the policy, the plans, also an alternative. Alternative is not very clearly seen, so let me just put it in the second line so that it will be clearly seen by you, so it will not be edited by the presentation itself. Now, with regards to these, I will look at that more closely when we are looking at the translation of object and concept, object concept and action concepts. And they are under coherence. And of course, that's coherence, that's what we want to be looking at. In coherence, which is the next step, we will look at object concepts and action concepts. And here, I have to show you what are the object concepts and what are the action concepts here. Now, of course, if you look at what I have done here, I've put in the first column action concepts, and in this column object concepts, which is the nouns, mainly the nouns, and here mainly the verbs, whether they are, and we know what the verbs are, will be either verb, the infinitive, verb with ing. We've talked about them before. I will mention them here as just to remind you of them. It's good to remind you of these. So you've got either main verb, verbs, or verb with ing, or to with the verb, which is infinitive. So there are three different types, okay, which are being used usually under verbs. So that, and then of course there's the past participle, okay, which is the ed, or the verb with an ed, verb in the past, or in the past participle, past participle. This is past participle, and you have got present participle as well, present, and this present participle can be also present participle is called also gerund sometimes, depending on its position in the sentence. Now here, just show you the verbs. Fail, okay, fail is one. Fail, sent, okay, past participle. Sits, present. Considered, past participle. To process, believed, would create. Of course, we don't consider the word would because it's auxiliary verb. We're not looking at the models when we are translating at the moment. We are trying to analyze. We're not looking at the models. We are only looking at the actual main verb, which is like discussed, forms, planning, ing, this is the ing form, to deport, striking, agreed. These are verbs. Resurrected, to send, to tackle. Okay, all of these are taken from the actual to house, is found, using, be scrapped. Okay, be is not included. All of these are from the story. So go back to the previous video to see this and to follow this. Okay, so more verbs: understands, involves, outsourcing, be sent. Okay, I'm just going to look at the verbs now. I'm going to actually dedicate this part of the video for just the verbs, to analyze them for you, so that you are familiar with this under coherence, because you need to know the verbs and how they are linked with their object concepts. Okay, now what is required is has told, was announced as well. Sorry about the noise in the background earlier. Was ruled unlawfully owing to, are confident. Of course, confident is not a verb, so I'm putting everything that's not a verb in brackets, so you know these are assisting the verb. And the modals are assisting the verbs. The modal verbs or auxiliary verbs, sometimes they call them, they are called. These are assisting the main verb, the modals. And I'm trying to sort of show you to cross have taken, okay? And while I'm analyzing the verbs, I will be looking at also tense and aspect, and I will explain to you how it will mean as a tense and aspect are frustrated. So you see, this is how you can see all these verbs that I'm actually trying to, I have taken out from the actual article. This article is published only a couple of days ago. So it's quite a newish, new really, but you can tell that these verbs that I'm using here, and you know, it's very important when I'm talking about these verbs to explain them well to you. I'm just trying to just focus on the verbs and see. Okay, let's go back to the verbs. Now, you can tell that could be sent, for example, is fail. Okay, fail is a normal present. Could be sent. Sent is passive voice مبني المجهول يعني يتم إرسالهم. sits تقع. consider was considered قد تم اعتبارها. passive voice again. هنا passive voice مبني المجهول وهنا مبني المجهول. انتبه عليه. to process an يتم معالجة يعني الطلب. believe تعتقد بالماضي. would create سوف يخلق. planning to across يخططون للعبور. forms يشكل. here is a verb. have been discussed قد تمت مناقشته. to deport لطردهم من البلد. deport from port. port معناها ميناء. deport معناها يخرج من الميناء. striking a deal يعني يبرم اتفاقا. هون striking as a present participle. agreed تمت وافق. resurrected إعادته أو بعثه من جديد. to send أن يرسل. لمعالجة to tackle. being looked at يتم النظر فيها. here is a passive as well. to house لأن يسكن فيها as a verb. is found تم إيجاده. استخدام be scrapped يتم إلغاؤه. understand يفهم يشمل. outsourcing الاعتماد على مصادر خارجية. be sent يتم إرساله. move to يتم نقلهم. engaged had engaged تم مشاركته. advance تقدم. here it's a passive participle, past participle. advanced talks يعني محادثات متقدمة including بما فيها are understood تم فهمها to be أن تكون has been stalled قد توقفت المحادثات مثلا stalled مع توقفت by طبعا وقت بيكون في by دائما نقلب بنجيب ما بعد الباي مثلا whoever has stalled it we just put them as a subject so we will not have a passive voice we will have an active voice was announced تم إعلانه was ruled تم إصدار حكم على أنه غير قانوني unlawful كمان unlawful طبعا may verb so this will help you in analyzing and being helpful in the actual translation if you do this kind of selecting or separating the verbs from their nouns or from noun phrases owing to يعزو إلى are confident وعلى واثق have been working يعمل overruled استبعاده أو يعني تم overruled يعني تم رفضه to start لأن to start للمباشرة giving إعطاء to take off إقلاع رحلات الترحيل would replace يستبدل بخطط أخرى be pursued متابعة خطط okay to deal with تم just 1 second because I want to display it as without this so we can follow to deal with يتعامل مع يستمر يعبر has taken قد اتخذ قال أو صرح اعتبار أن يعتبر أن يضع خطة draw up a plan make sense لها مغزى أن يتوقف أن يعمل are confident still confident again here we have still confident to be in between brackets because that's not a verb and with us and so on okay having and then would provide us with provide is the verb in the present this is ing frustrated يعني يشعرون بالإحباط legally طبعا في عنا legally وفي عنا lawfully in the actual article legally يعني مشروع بطريقة مشروعة ولawfully بطريقة قانونية there is quite a few legal words used in this particular because as you know politics and the legal or the law are linked together politicians rely a lot on the law in their decisions as well so it's not only politics but law and politics together could replace يمكن أن تستبدل would expect يمكن تتوقع أن تغادر أن تفعل should rule against يمكن أن تصدر قرارا ضده أن تفتح as has been previously reported كما تمت نقله modeled يعني تم على نموذج أو طبقا لنموذج these are verbs to process الطلب يتم معالجته travel السفر led to أدى إلى remain would depend on being able to send where revealed passive voice again have been sent as أيضا passive voice تم كشفه وتم إرسالهم to have processed أن يتم معالجة الطلب العودة was successful in the past bars means يحد أو يقف bars يمنعهم هذا فعل هنا بالجملة بجاي enter يدخل being able أن يكون قادرا to claim asylum يطلب لجوء would be في المستقبل are kept passive voice were dropped passive voice تم حفظهم تم الاحتفاظ بهم were dropped تم تخلي عنها المقترحات declared يعلن أو يصرح including بما فيها accused متهم going round in circles يدور حول نفسه. said يعني بمعنى said هون صرحها. claimed يزعم. we're going سوف. and هي هنا ممكن تكون حتى هذه we're going يعني to do أن يفعل. got off the ground يعني ينطلق. joins ينضم. are never delivered لم يتم تسليمها. is failing يفشل. are going round in circles. said صرح. fleeing يهرب to stop. address يخاطب. has talked tough تحدث بصلابة أو بقوة. doing little لا يقوم إلا بالقليل. و earmarked تم الإشارة له أو وضع علامة عليها على استخدامها بهدف استخدامها. I think I'll stop here because these are all verbs.